this is the rotating for the main engine. What we have the stick here for is to position the piston, whereby you can move the piston right on top, so that you can put the piston lifting tool which comes from the crane on top during the maintenance. The same thing goes to the upper part, those heavy part which is on top, which is the cylinder mounting. You can see the exhaust valve. In the construction of exhaust valve, I told you all about positioning without spring? Did I told you all about exhaust valve? Here is the part of the exhaust valve which I was talking about. And this is the hydraulic air oil that going into the actuator on top down there, pressurizing hydraulic pressure and pushing the plunger right down to the bottom relative to the position of the piston in ensuring the two-stroke timing diagram is compiled and fulfilled. Or else you cannot run the engine, as you learn from my introduction of the engine when I talk about power rates and etc. Can you relate to you understand it?
Yes.
Alright? Okay, because of the movement, then you can realize that on top of certain piston, on top of the piston, you can see a curvature on top of the piston profile. What is the function of that curvature for? The curvature is to ensure that when the taper, the valve, trumpet valve open, trumpet kan yang orang muda, memang macam cerita orang putih apa tengok. That is the valve, that is like the pillion is inside here, the top. Why the pillion inside? Is to close and to open the valve. Can you relate to you understand it?
Yes.
Alright. In the event of normal that you see, engine that they have spring, like a motorcycle engine example, you will have spring. Am I right? Your four-stroke will have spring too. Right?
Yes.
Your two-stroke will have only one spring there for that piston. Right?
Yes.
Why? Because you have your port down there, the air coming from the port. Whereas your four-stroke, the intake and the output, so you have to have two springs, one for the intake, one for the exhaust, right?
Yes.
The same applies to the engine, only in a bigger size. Can you understand?
Yes.
So upon understanding that, whatever the spring that you see there, here, who placed the spring effect? The one that the piston here, can you see the chamber, quite big chamber here? Like a cylinder liner, like this is the whole construction, right? Yours, wow. If you see one start, two start, three start, four start, one start to there. Four start is attached and secured to the top of the cylinder head, which is we call the cylinder head mounting. What are the cylinder mounting? Accessories which is on top of the cylinder head, which is your intake valve. Here will not be having intake valve. You have intake port. Not valve, port. I've been stressing many times to you. Alright. So we don't call it aspiration because car engine. Use the right term. Aspiration all these small chiku engine, you're going to talk to them. The marine aspect going to fail you because using the wrong terminology. Understand? So the curvature is the when the trumpet goes down, it will not hit the top of the piston. There are some design like that. Why? Because in adjustment of the compression ratio, sometimes you may not able to adjust. So what you do that? You put a curvature profile down there for the sake of to comply with the compression ratio for that power. So it comes on design. Understand?
Yes.
Detail? Okay, now I go. As the piston goes up, exhaust valve is closed. Power, pump, pushing the piston, power stroke right down to the bottom. At that time, the intake port will start to open when the position of the piston start opening the port. How it open? The position of the piston itself become open and close for the port, correct?
Right.
As the piston move down below the port, the air from the engine is 2 kg per centimeter square, 28 psi. Itulah the car tire engine pressure acting on the air intake. Do you know that? You take saksi ni, aku boleh masuk. Dah lah jadi padi-padi lebah yang kodoh tu kat tepi-tepi laut dia, kaki pancing semua tu, semua tak pakai ilmu laut. Kita kalau nak pergi kat dunia luar, kita belajar dunia tu dulu. Bukan suruh itu kita baca ye. Dia lemah dua orang dah ya daripada tengah hari tadi aku tengok sampai sekarang. Buat apa? Bodoh. Ini lah banyak penyakit orang Melayu. Please, think like an engineer. Whenever you want to put something there, you ask yourself, Have I did enough survey there? Huh? You go inside the tiger come and eat, finish. Tu. No, tak ada R&D, tak ada apa. Pengamuk jauh. Kantor api tutup, penting. Orang mengamuk kat tu dia. Sampai jadi hulu barang, paling lupa sultan. Kan cita-cita korang. Tujuh dolar hati nyamuk. Aku sampai hari ni fikir, doktor pakar mana yang boleh beri 7 dolar. Lepas tu kata dapat semua. Cuma main mangkuk di razia tak sampai hati. Cuba apa fikir. Macam mana aku tak panggil orang-orang mereka? Faham So you all better wake up. What's your name? Your name?
Muhammad Afiq.
Ada kacukan Cina kan?
Yes.
Can I proceed?
Yes.
Can you see the pot? This is the time when the scouring air come and burst. Can you see the valve? The valve already open. Can you see what makes the valve open? The movement of the pressure that comes from the actuator over here. So this pressurize the pipe along. The yellow pipe will go and goes to the actuator, pressing it against, compressing the piston inside the cushioning air piston. So the piston has been compressed. It's not as Simpson tu dia punya tiup cucuk dia aku kata. Tolak sakit dia tolak balik. Macam spring tak? So that cushioning effect of the piston act as a spring, replacing the spring action that you normally see in your normal engine design. Okay, now who controls that? The cam profile here already adjusted. Can you see the cam?
Yes.
This cam is attached to the cam shaft. This is not crankshaft. This is cam shaft. What's the difference between the cam shaft and the crankshaft? Cam shaft is a cam that time the following features: spill valve, suction valve, delivery valve. So this type of fuel pump, we call box type of fuel pump, which is used on Sulzer type engine makers. Whereas for the BMW, the fuel pump over here are Bosch type of fuel pump. Bosch type of fuel pump are pump that you can see plug-in barrel like you see on a normal generator line. I'm going to talk about this fuel pump in your next session. Just bear in mind, the function of fuel pump is to inject the oil to the injector. Mana injector tu? Where is the injector? Dia sebenarnya kat tepi ni, hotel kat tepi ni. High pressure pun, dah pressure pipe pun tak pergi. Ini. So here, every once we want, it will go 2 pressure pipe going up here to the individual cylinder. Here there are another 2 pipe, so they will have 3 blocks or 4 blocks. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4. Must be 8 then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright, let me wind up 9. 1. Because they cut this side. They cut this area. Can you see that?
Yes.
Alright. Who's right? The borrower is right or I am right?
You is right.
Picture 10,000 stories. Must intelligently see. Okay. Then you see, as the piston move down, it swept off. You can see the cross section there, very clear. That's how it is explained. But now come back here. The high pressure pipe that goes into the individual injector that will fire and move the piston. You already acknowledge this. That much of information you already know. Now let's go to the cross-heat bearing. This is the one that we say. Can you see the partition? There is a diaphragm between the upper chamber and the lower chamber. This is why we call this type of engine cross-head engine. Why you have cross-head engine? Because you have a cross-head bearing for individual of the connecting rod. That is piston rod which is resting on the cross-head bearing. Can you relate to you understanding?
Yeah.
So that rest dekat atas ni. This cross-head by guide by the cross-head guide. The guide, this cross-head guide will slide along the cross-head slippers, ensuring that in the event of axial ascent movement, they are within the tolerance. Due to the thrust that created by the propeller reacting on the shaft of the engine through the propeller shaft. Therefore, who takes that? Belakang dia. No, sit wait. Alright, can you see it? The ring collar? Alright, inside the ring collar we have pad. We call here a stern bearing temperature, a head bearing, thrust bearing temperature. This is a thrust bearing. What's the function of thrust bearing? The function of thrust bearing is to take the thrust of the propeller so that it will not affect the existing clearance of the side plate of this, all these mechanisms. If let's say your maximum one of your most critical axial clearance is, in this case, is your connecting rod. Why? I'm not going to cross it. Why? Because the cross is going to push the piston moving up and down, vertically, up and down. The oscillating part is only the movement of this crankshaft, and here, hydrodynamic lubrication, rotating, but the displacer is going like that. But as it goes, can you relate?
Yes.
So what is that? The crosshead guide. Over here, this is called the crosshead slippers. You slip, macam slipper. So crosshead slipper, crosshead guide, crosshead bearing. Connecting rod will be attached to the bottom side of the crosshead bearing and attached to the connecting rod bearing here. Connecting rod bearing. So here you will have some axial plane. Here will have, with this move, this one also will have some plane. So that plane should be more, so that the thrust bearing should be less than that. So the thrust bearing will be able to take these clearances, ensuring these other clearances are within the limit, preventing from metal to metal rubbing, because metal to metal rubbing may produce heat. This heat may cause of crankcase explosion, etc., which I'm going to teach you in your next lesson. Can you relate to you understand?
Yes.
What I've not touched you on. The blue one over here, can you see?
Yes.
That is the blue line. What is that? Anyone get that blue? Quickly, don't make your time. What's the blue line stand for? Can anyone tell me quickly? Cannot, I will move. Alright, this is the starting L. Main starting air line to open the starting air valve of the engine relative to the position of the during the starting system. And what are the deck box for? These are the flame arrestor. Requirement by Classification Society. In 1947, there was a tremendous explosion in a grid ship where it leads to serious personal injury to them. Because of that incident, SOLAS Chapter 2, requirement, all starting engine starting system shall have a flame arrestor to prevent from flame and explosion. So these are the flame arrestor. Because of that, in 1947, on Del El Pacifico had a tremendous crankcase explosion, and in this is not crankcase and also starting air on the grid ship. That El Pacifico was on crankcase explosion that we will talk another explosion later on. What are the requirements by Classification Society? This safety device are fitted along. Alright. So if you see here, this area are, we call, can you see here? We call under piston space. There were a lot of carbon deposits over here and sometimes even rot at the air intake. So they have to do scavenging, they will cleaning this spot area by opening this box, removing all this oil. So this dirty oil will collect back at the drain. Why? Where this oil come from? Excess lubrication from the liner, the carbon from the combustion, black, like tar, like. So that will come and collect at the dirty oil collection tank. to supply for discharge or to use for burning. As you know, Annex MAPOL is getting very stringent. For example, air pollution, NOx, SOx, aircraft, emission control area, and etc. With that much of booster for today, I call it a day. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. May God bless you all. You can stop. Okay, any question?